Hey, everybody, welcome to the Kid Contractor Podcast. Welcome to the show here. We are with round 2 here of an excellent podcast. I listened to it twice myself with Kory Ballard here, Ballard Product, Green Grind Podcast. Him and Leroy there. Dude, okay. Let's just get right into this, and we'll maybe do. I know you're probably sick of doing your backstory a million times for these things, but Kory, I was just saying how I'm so grateful that you took time for a rapid fire back-to-back episode. Because I think we recorded the last one 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I reached out to Dee, my wonderful assistant Dee, and said, "Hey, that episode was so good. See if we can get Kory back on here down the road." And the book I'm reading right now called "Winning with Accountability" is huge on specificity. We don't say, and again, thanks to Sam Rankin for the referral on that book. But it's, I have eliminated vague from my world, except obviously I didn't. And I said, D, see if you can get another podcast from him down the road. I wasn't specific. I didn't say, D, in 3 months is what I really meant. I don't want to take up this much time back to back with Kory. But she doing a great job as she does. She's like, hell yeah, we'll get him back on as soon as possible. Such a great show. Who wouldn't want him back on? And so, Kory, you're getting ready to jump on that. But anymore, I don't say, hey, guys, can you make sure that truck gets unloaded by end of day? What the hell's end of day mean? Hey, make sure that client is called this week. What the hell's that mean? By Friday? By Wednesday at 4 p.m.? Specificity on everything. And so I'm getting really big on that. And you were just getting ready to drop bombs on I'm sure, some great lessons. And Kory, that last episode you did with us was fantastic, man. It was really cool. So thank you.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I appreciate being on. And I still enjoy, when I get a chance to jump on what I think is a good podcast that gives back to the community, I love it. And I still love talking about just our industry and my experience. And I still learn a ton from listening to other podcasts. And even when I listen back to my podcasts, the ones I'm on, I pick up different things. I listen to a lot of other guys' podcasts, and I still try to apply that in my business every time. And I got a lot of good feedback from yours too. So I think guys enjoyed it. And I listened to most of it, and then I got interrupted and didn't finish it. But because half the time when I do a podcast, I don't know if you're like me, Caleb, I don't remember what a freaking word I said. I get done, and I'm like, somebody will say, "How was it, Lindsay?" Like my wife will be like, "How was the podcast?" I'm like, "Really good." She's like, "What'd you guys talk about?" I'm like, "I have no clue."
Stuff and things.
We were just talking about just business and stuff. And she's like, "Well, what were the key things?" I'm like, "I don't really know."
Yeah, and that's what ChatGPT is for. And that's, by the way, folks, in that last episode, go check out. I haven't seen it yet. I think Hunter made it, but go to our last episode with Kory Ballard here. And we put in, because you were just killing it, man. And one of the segments, you were saying when we train, you need to do this, and what does this look like, and all this stuff. I was like, we need to capture that because we capture the audio, right? And then we put it into a script or transcript. I was like, Hunter, get that script. And Hunter's our AV guy. And then put that in ChatGPT, ask it to make that into an SOP. He's got that made. I haven't even seen it. He's like, you should probably check it, just make sure. But that's in the show notes, the last episode. Go check that out, folks. We'll tweak it as needed. But dude, you're killing it there. So that being said, I don't even know where we were, but thanks, man. Yeah, I have got ADD. So I'm at the point now where Hunter handles this, D handles that. And when you get to your size of Perfect Cut or Ballard now, whatever, I feel like I don't know. And I mean this with actual positivity, but somebody's like, hey, how does this work around here? I don't freaking know anymore. And we're a tiny company. And I don't know if that means I'm doing things right or I'm so aloof to anything anymore. That's bad.
Yeah, that's a good question and a good point, because the further, even at Ballard here, so I hired Austin, runs our customer service and does a lot of new product development. And I knew everything. If you told me you had a Gravely 60-inch, I could tell you what blade it took, what blah blah blah. If you told me you had a Skag, you told me you had a Toro, you told me you had an X-Mark, Bobcat, you name it, I knew every blade size, I knew every belt it took, I knew that. And now I don't, and that's just one little aspect of our business, but I am not an expert in a lot of things we do here. And sometimes, and even at Perfect Cut, I wasn't. And that at times it made me feel a little bit ignorant, maybe ill-equipped. People are like, hey, what pre-immersion are you using? Are you using 1040 24X? I'm like, I don't know, dude. What's your favorite block? I don't know. It's like, and
the hard one.
Yeah. And so at times, even skid loaders, people are like, yeah, I see you guys running some cats and you got some Bobcat. What do you think of the 1022X blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, I don't know, man. And so at times they're like, what do you mean you don't know? And I'm not a skid loader expert. Like, we have 20 of them. I'm like, I know, but I have really, really good people that kick the tires and test and know what specs we need and lifting power and longevity and which ones work good for snow and all the different things. And so that's an interesting question, because I think as you scale any business, you have to get out of the weeds of all the bullshit. But at the same time, I do talk to guys that have really large companies, and they know some of them are like equipment junkies, right? And then some of them are maybe software junkies, and they know every number and they know their spreadsheets and the P and L, and they got their balance sheet dialed in. And some of them know everything about their business. And I start thinking kind of like you. I'm like, man, maybe I'm not as tuned in as I thought I was. Or then I go, man, I've really surrounded myself with really good people, and I've
Mm.
empowered them, and I've allowed them to help us do this so I can focus on the things that I'm really good at. So I don't have to worry about how this roadcaster sitting next to me on this desk works. And I don't have to know exactly how Google marketing works. I don't know exactly how what Kaz is doing right now with all of our Facebook ads and Instagram ads and the algorithms. And at times people are asking me, and I know the high level stuff. I have a dashboard. So yeah, I don't know, Caleb, if that makes you a good leader or a bad leader, because where do you add the most value in your business at the end of the day? And
Mm.
that's what really I think. And we always remember, and we are probably experts in the things we enjoy the most, right? I have an incredible memory when it comes to certain pieces of our business. And then somebody else will ask me about something, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea. They're like, man, you're so sharp. And I'm like, not when I don't care. Like,
Yeah, no, I don't care. That's good. What do you let's pay some bill and try to throw you a bone here. Tell us about Ballard products. What the best sales pitch for Ballard stuff is here. I want to try to help there if I can for a little bit.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I appreciate that, and we don't have to hit it that very long because I don't. So Ballard Products. Again, I think people think it's new, and maybe I said this on the last podcast or not, but this is our 26th year in business. We celebrated our 25th anniversary last year. For many years, it was a hobby business, but since about 2017, 2018, we've been hitting the gas. And today we have about 1,750 SKUs. We sell a lot of landscape accessories, more and more Ballard branded products. We still carry some other brands of products that we think are really unique that we think that our customers can utilize in their business every day. Um, you know, we really like the big thing right now, and we sell a lot of mower blades. That's our number one seller as far as
Hmm.
quantity goes. We're working on our own lines. We've added our own lines of trimmer racks and blower racks, and trying to do some things that are unique. Our tagline's innovation, so we're trying to do some things there. And despite some of the nonsense on social media, we're not stealing people's products. We do look at products that are out there, and we try to find ways to make them a little bit better. Um, I think it's unique. It's kind of funny in our business. Okay, this gets me. I'm just going to do a quick rant. Like, people are like, you're not doing anything special. Like, all you're doing is making the same products better. And I'm thinking, dude, you're not doing anything special. You're just cutting grass. Like at the end of the day, like you're. And then people will be like, well, all you've done is take other products and steal them. And I'm like, well, first off, if we did do that, if you really believe that we took everybody else's products and stole them, and then built an 8-figure business out of it, you should be really like, man, good job out of you. Like, if that's what I really did, you should be like, well, that was pretty smart. I mean, he took other products and he made a. So that's not what we do. And some people say, well, you're just trying to reinvent the wheel. And I'm like, but you do know that the wheel is being reinvented right now, right? The phone you're
Mm.
using today is being reinvented. The car you drive is being made better. The skid loader you use in your business is being reinvented today. Like, every single product on the market is always being reinvented, and someone's always making the next best. If you want to talk about tires, like, someone's making a better tire today that'll hold more weight or maybe handle better on grass, or or on rain or snow. And so we're not doing anything that is crazy amazing here, I don't think, but we're really trying to find what are people in our industry needing to be more efficient, more effective, safe. How do we help with labor problems? Maybe we can make a tool that saves man hours and manpower. We made a really cool tarp that guys can use that is better than the tarps that are out there. There's just a lot of little things like that that we're working on. So having a lot of fun with the business. We've got a great new facility it's a small team. My wife and I are here, and I think we have 11 or 12 people, and other than that, and so it doesn't require the manpower that a landscape contracting or lawn care company takes. But we have it's still not easy. We have a different set of problems here with always making sure that we have supplies and that we're up on our products. Now we have massive amounts of inventory as far as dollars and products go. And so I don't know if that answers any of your question, but we offer lawn and landscape accessories all across the country. We've got distributors in Australia, Puerto Rico. We got some people up in Canada, but mainly 95% of our sales are direct to consumer here in the U.S.
What these crazy, I'd love to know, well, like, okay, mower blades, like one of your top selling, not top selling thing, and then maybe item 2 and 3, that's the next top sellers. But what's so great about these freaking mower blades that you're selling a bajillion of them?
I mean, at this point, we have 6 different varieties. I think, we have our gold blade, which has a carbide titanium additive on the cutting edge, which lasts longer. We've designed them, we've tested them. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I've cut a lot of grass. At the end of the day, let's not get crazy. Any sharp mower blade cuts grass, right? I mean, so when people say like your blades don't cut good, that's not true. Every brand of mower blade cuts good, right? And I mean, if it's sharp, now how they're designed and how they perform really has to do with a lot of factors: turf type, turf height. What's your mowing height? Is it wet? Is it dry? Do you clean under your deck? Are your spindles, good? Is the deck pitch right? How fast do you mow? Are you going at 7.5 miles an hour? Are you going at 4? There's a million factors, the turf health, and there's a million factors on what makes blades cut well. And so one of the things I think that we've done really well is we've made it super easy on our website. So, if you don't know, right now, Brittany could jump on our website and say, you know what, we got a Skag Turf Tiger 2, 61-inch. She could put it in. It'll show her exactly what blades fit the mower. So we've made it really easy for the consumer to jump on our website and find products that work for their machine. Because it's kind of crazy to me, but probably 70 to 80% of the people don't know how long their blade is. They don't know the center hole, which is the arbor hole. They don't know if it's a 5/8, a 7/8, a 15/16. So we just tried to make it really easy for the consumer because people are busy. And the weirdest thing ever, well, I don't know why it's weird. These dealerships have no inventory. So if you were to drive to your local dealership and you have an Exmark, that's a bad example because they do most of the Exmarks do a good job, but they have so many makes and models now. I go to my John Deere dealership, a huge dealership. I went in there to get some blades for a 48-inch John Deere. I mean, they don't have them. It's like, well, we can order them. And I'm like, man, it's just a standard 48-inch,
Yeah.
So what guys are finding, I think, is instead of going to their dealership, they can get home, they can feed the kids, they can do their books, they can hang out with the wife. And we see a ton of orders from 10 p.m. to midnight. I think, a guy gets on, he types in, he can put his blades in, and he can have them on his doorstep in 2 days. He never goes to the dealership. He's going to get better blades than the dealership has from us. It saves him. So next time when he goes on there, he knows exactly what he ordered last time. So we've just really tried to make the transaction easy for the consumer. We're doing a ton of work and research on our blades right now. I don't know if you've seen our latest video. We're in like lab coats. We're in our blade lab. But we're checking the Rockwell hardness. We're checking, cutting edge life. How many sharpens can you get out of a blade? We have every brand of blades. So when people tell me that, this Oregon blade's better than yours or this Diamondback's better than yours, it's not. But there's a lot of opinions too, right? It's a Ford, Chevy, Dodge thing, right? It's like they all get you from A to B, and they all have some things that work really well, and they don't. And so I don't know what the magic sauce with our blades is, other than we just really have tried to make it easy for the consumer to order. They don't have to get under their deck, take a blade off, get a tape measure out, get a mic out to try to mic the center hole. They can just jump on. I've got a Bobcat 52-inch. Boom, here's the blades that fit it. If you need anything else for the machine, we've got, shoot blockers and you name it. So makes it easy for them to order parts.
So something I don't envy about, two businesses I don't envy. One is restaurants and the other is manufacturing. And so like you being a manufacturer with all those variables of like, where do you, and again, you're in circles and groups of people who know how to do this stuff. I know obviously, but like, for just being able to go to your website and find a mower blade, how the hell, where's all the information get compiled from, or how do you get access to know how do you make that happen of like, I go to your website and put in my mower and you somehow find or know already what the thing is? You know what I mean?
Tons of work. So before we sold our first blade, I spent a year researching every mower on the market. Um, and so, and everybody told me I was crazy. They said, don't sell mower blades. There's too many sizes. There's too many lengths. There's too many models out there. There's too many brands. They take up a lot of space. They're heavy. They're hard to ship. And typical fashion, I just did it anyways. But it took me a year to compile all the information before we could actually sell a mower blade. And then I had to find the right manufacturer who could build me the blades. I went through 2 or 3 of them. I tested them. I had some shitty quality ones. I had some really good ones. So it took me a while to find a manufacturer that could build me the blades that I wanted, the specs the way I wanted, also not sell our blades to anyone else. So we had to make sure that there was some, an NDA there and some confidence that they would not steal our designs. And so constantly. So now Austin was just in the other day. So we have mower blades for 1,050 mowers right now. But so he goes through every single brand. He just was doing it. So he spent the last 2 weeks. So he goes through every brand to see what Exmark came out with, to see what Toro came out with, to see what Skag came out with, to see what Gravely came out with, and all the way down the list. And then he goes in, he finds the specs, he sees what blade they have.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Do we currently carry that blade? Is that a new blade? How many models fit that blade? And then so every time I order new blades, we try to add 1 or 2 new sizes. But because we have 6 varieties, that's challenging. So some odd mowers will only add maybe our best selling variety. But it's challenging because we get a lot of like, why don't you sell blades for my MTD? Why don't you sell blades for my Craftsman? And I'm like, because that's not who we are. That's not our business model. We sell blades for commercial lawn care, for commercial lawnmowers. And we do have some mid-level, like John Deere. We have quite a few for like some of their lawn tractors. Cub Cadet, we have a few mid-level for them. We tried to, for a few of the really popular mid-level, maybe kind of homeowner startup guys. But yeah, to your point, Caleb, it's a ton of work. Our website, we redid our website 2 years ago, and we spent over $500,000 on it to make this functionality work.
Gosh.
And I was gonna throw up.
Yeah, that's great. So there's not like, you don't once you reach a certain level or you network with the right people and you're like, okay, there's a magic code or key you get to like the Exmark has this database. You just have you just have to know the right person to get the database. Yeah, this is all the specs on our mower blades for each mower. You've got to hand harvest all of that. There's not some special connection.
Not that I know, buddy.
At Gravely or Skag or anything. It's all hand. Oh my word. And you got to do this every year update. That's incredible.
Well, and actually more often than that, because sometimes they come out even mid-season. And I'm still a little baffled. This is so often, but it's like, why do they create so many mowers? Like, why do we have to have a 52, a 54, a 60, a 61, a 72, Skag, 32, 36. I mean, why? Like, it used to be like Skag got a 36, a 48, a 52, a 61, a 72. 5 of them. They all had a 5/8 center hole, and it was super simple. But it's amazing to me how many models they have. I mean, some of these brands have 60 or 70 different models. And I don't know if they continue. Like, maybe they just have engineers and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to lose my job if I don't come up with a new mower. But it is. I don't know of any other way other than we constantly look at their websites. We're members of a lot of different associations. And so anytime we see, like, check out the latest and greatest Toro, we're like, oh, shit. Okay, what size is it? What did they change? Did the deck change? Does our catch pro still fit the deck the way it should? Do our blades, did they change the blade size? Why did they change it? And what's the blade, what's the deck depth? Because maybe our high lift blades won't fit now because how much clearance do we have between the spindle and the top of the deck? Yeah. So it's not easy. So that's a whole nother set of problems. And we still miss it every once in a while. Like, somebody will get a set of high lift blades and say, hey man, I got the 2025 Bobcat or Hustler X, and my blades touch the top of the deck. And we're like, shit. Okay. So then we go in, we change it. We send them a free set of blades, maybe the next size down or the next, not quite as tall. So every once
just
in a while,
add some washers in there.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I say. You set them an 8 spacer, it
Really?
lowers that blade down an 1/8 inch, and now you've got your clearance.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so it does. But so I mean, every once in a while we'll miss it when something new comes out. Um, and as soon as somebody says, "Hey, I bought the new Gravely Mach 1 and your product doesn't fit on the Mach 1," and we truly verify that it doesn't. Because the other problem we have here in Des Moines, Iowa, is we don't have enough dealers. So we don't have every brand. We have the majority of the brands. So we go to the dealerships and look at, hey, what's coming out? We look at them, and we've got pretty good relationships with them. But we don't have every brand of mower here, for instance. And so that becomes an issue. That was really why we were going to Expo. Austin would literally go around and just look at every mower, take tons of photos, like what's coming out next year. Did they change anything? Do we need to change anything? And just get data, tons and tons of data. So yeah, it's got different challenges than the other business, but I agree with you. I've been offered opportunity to get in restaurants and bars about 50 times in my life. I want nothing to do with it ever, ever.
Yeah, that sounds just horrible trying to make people happy, a
Yeah,
$20, $40 dish at a time. It's worse than lawn care, even, I would argue.
for sure.
Last question on mower blades. This is gonna be a number, it's gonna be like, oh my gosh, or it's like, about what I figured. How many either sets or individual mower blades do you have on hand at any moment? It's gonna be like 10,000 or like a million. I don't know which, like.
It's not a million. I bet we're sitting on maybe 450 or 500,000 blades right now. Um, but we'll sell. I mean, it's a little early right now, so we're still probably selling 500 to 1,000 a day right now, maybe. But when it gets busy,
What?
we'll have days where it's massive amounts. And so what I love about mower blades over everything else is, again, it's a consumable, right? So if you buy a super jack
Yeah.
and it lasts forever. Brian Fullerton's had the same super jack for 7 years now. It'll never go bad. It's not as pretty. It's got some scratches on it, but it'll never not lift his mower up. But mower blades, if you're a commercial cutter, you've got to buy, depending on where you're located, especially if you're in sandy soil. But like, Perfect Gut, we switch blades every month. I mean, they just get destroyed. And so that's what I love about that piece of business is even a high quality blade, you're going to have to switch it out probably at least twice a year. I mean, maybe you'll have a mulching blade in the fall with some, if you're in there doing some leaf cleanups, you're going to have a high lift blade maybe in the middle of the season. So I like the fact that you have to keep buying them. And that's a nice piece of our business versus some of our products that when you buy them, you just have one forever. So, but yeah, we've got a lot of blades on hand, and when we order them, we order hundreds of thousands at a time. And
Gee.
because I pay for a mold too, and so my minimum order is 3,000 blades of any style of any kind. So when someone says, "Hey, can you make a blade for my," what's the one that always gets me? Walker. We don't make blades for Walkers. Walker brand mowers. They've got a million sizes, and to be honest, here's the truth: their factory blade is really well thought out. It's a great high quality blade. I can't make a better one, so I'm not going to make one. If I can't make an improvement on the blade, why would you ever buy my blade if it's not going to be any better? And people are like, I'd buy a set. I'm like, well, you'd buy a set. Like, I got to get 3,000. And a lot of times that one particular blade size only fits that one particular brand and model of Walker mower. What we like is the blades that fit maybe 4 different brands or 3 different brands. They fit, all the 48s in the market or most of the 48s in the market. And so, yeah, like Honda push mowers are very popular. That's our number one request is why don't you make a blade for the Honda push mower? Because most commercial contractors run a Honda. They really like the Honda push mowers. It's a fantastic, high, well-built mower. And the truth is, I can't make a better blade. We've tested it. We've tried it. We have one here. I can't make a better blade than they make. They already engineered it to maximum quality and perfection. So I'm going to make a blade that's not as good as the one that comes on the mower, or I'd have to just duplicate it. And I don't want to do that. So there's times when we don't make things because if we can't make an improvement in performance, I don't see any benefit of doing that. So that's all you need to know about lawnmower blades. That's probably
That's so freaking crazy. 400,000 anytime. That's freaking nuts. Okay, well, let's go. Oh man. Okay. So much to I don't even know. Try to catch up on from the last episode. So by the way, Ballard.com if folks want to go buy mower blades now.
Yeah, Ballard-Inc.com. Well,
Inc.com.
where we started off, I'll hijack your
Yeah,
podcast.
please do. That's right.
Was just a little bit about being specific and directive in leadership. And so we were talking, I think, right before you pushed the play button, and you had kind of mentioned how you had said, "Hey, like get Kory back on," and you didn't know if that, but she doesn't know if that means tomorrow, next week, next month, or hey, this winter. And I hear it all the time, and it happens here. And it really happened at Perfect Cut, where certain managers could not get results. And I just heard it happen here just the other day. And they don't listen to your podcast all the time. But like Craig said, I told Johnny that if he got some time, and it would be nice if he would kind of do some work over here and kind of get this area cleaned up. And I said, what does that mean? What is if he gets some time, could he kind of clean up? I don't know what that means. And he's like, well, we've been busy, and I just thought if he gets a little extra time, he can kind of help start working on that back area. And I said, I don't know. It has to be very direct. We used to have a guy that could never get anyone to listen to him. He said, nobody listens to me. And it would always be, I talked to Mike, and I said, Mike, if it works out, I'd love to maybe see you on Saturday. What does that mean? So, are we working Saturday, or it's optional? Maybe. And so I never had any, and so I'd always get frustrated. I go, listen, everybody always listens to me. I'm very clear. Like, hey, Mike, we're a little behind schedule. We're going to work Saturday. I'll meet you here at 8. We're going to have everybody off at noon. Here's what we got planned. It's not like if you don't have anything going Saturday, I'd love to see you. And so I do think that when we give direction as leaders, we have to be very clear. And it doesn't mean we're being dicks or being disrespectful to people's schedules or being a dictator. It's just, what do you need done? What is the timeline? Just being very clear and directive. And I do this. I still screw this up sometimes too, though. I say things because I expect people to understand what I'm thinking, and then I'm broad, right? And they're like, well, I don't know what that means. I'm like, hey, Kaz, just make it look kick ass. And he's like, I don't know what that means. Like, no, like the logo's got to look kick ass. And he's like, I don't know what that is, dude. Like, and so as leaders, though, something we can constantly work on is always just being clear and direct to the point. And at the end of the day, the person you're talking to, I think, would rather have clear, direct messaging than, especially if they're an A player or somebody that wants to contribute and be a good part of your organization. It's because I don't know what kind of clean means, or could you maybe come in Saturday means. So I don't know if that helps at all, but I've seen it go a lot of different ways, and I've seen really good leaders that have mastered it, and I've seen people that should be good leaders, and they just constantly say nobody listens to me. And it's not that people don't listen to them; it's just that they're not clear in their directive.
Yeah. And that's what another part of that book. I've just been eating that book up, and it was talking about defining what a win looks like, and that's kind of what you're talking about with Kaz there, of like, make this look awesome. Well, like, again, defining what awesome looks like. And so this book has been huge on, like, you have to define, again, like, hey, do a good job today.
Yeah.
Or hey, do a good job on this project. Again, what the hell does that mean, right? Like, and so this book is really pushing you, like, to help your people be successful. You have to define what a win looks like, or what do a good job looks like, or make sure you're, super nice to Mrs. Herfenerbler or whatever. What you have to define what that looks like.
For sure. Like, even if we were talking about this on the Green Grind, like, because Leroy's been getting some consulting, and it was like, we deliver quality results. Define quality. What does quality mean to you as a business owner? What does it mean to your people? What does quality maybe mean? What do customers expect out of quality? And I think we, as business owners, we throw out these terms, and again, how you have to be so clear. I mean, and it seems a little bit ridiculous that you have to be so clear about. Go, man. Hope you have, let's go kick ass today. Let's go have a great day. Let's knock this one out of the park. What is that like?
Yeah.
And what, because I've been to places, you've been to jobs, right? And someone says, man, what do you think? This looks amazing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible, actually. This is I'm sure. But this
Yeah.
contractor thinks they think it's amazing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, but this, you got to rip it out, And so who defines those things? And so as you build your company up, I mean, we at Perfect Cut had it so down to like, where do you park? When you get out, what do you do? We let the gate up. We put our safety cones out. How many safety cones? Where do they go? Is the truck running? Do we shut the truck off? What is the entire process? Do we unload the equipment first? Do we walk the property? Like every single thing was really, really well thought out. When they get back, what do they do? Like just keep the truck clean. What does that mean? Who should, like, we get out, they clean the truck. One guy brings in the route sheets, whatever. I mean, the whole thing. Where's the truck go? Do we pull it in? Do we back it in? Do we fuel up? Do we not fuel up? Do we unload the equipment? Where does it go? What if it's broken? All those little things that sometimes people think, well, they should just know. Back to giving third direction, and then people say like, well, it's just common sense. I'm like, to who? Who's it common sense to? Like flying an airplane's common sense to a pilot, but like, to who? And so, it's not common sense. Where and what do you expect from people, and how well is that outlined? And again, it's people like, well, you're being a hard ass. I'm like, no, actually, they want to know what to do. It makes their job easier. They know
Yeah.
exactly what happens in the morning, in the day, when they take lunch, where they take lunch, when they get back. They know exactly how this whole thing flows, and everybody's happier, and the results are much better. And so, I have not read that book. I probably need to do a better job. I don't read very well because my attention span is horrible, but I listen to books sometimes. So that's
Yeah. Well,
that's the only way I can do it.
I'm sure it's available in audio, and I don't even know that you need it necessarily, but for me, it's just been wonderful. It's just been such a great baseline of things, and it's one of those things too. It's you read it and you're like, damn, I know this and I don't do it, or
Right.
like I've heard this and I didn't register at the time I heard it, and I feel like there's this thing, and I've been working on this a lot. I've been talking about this a lot of like this the epiphany moment when something actually like sinks in, and I've been trying to figure out this piece of art or something of like to describe how this system is, and it's like you hear it, but the timing's not right. Like the need isn't there yet for what you just heard. There's all these things that have to like coalesce at the same time, or not even at the same time, but like it compiles, and then there's this one last catalyst, this one last little thing. It's like, oh, eureka! Like I've been hearing this forever, and this book's a great example. I've heard all this other stuff, and I think for me now more so, it's just the timing is working out. I'm ready to hear it, and I'm receptive to like trying to do all this personal growth stuff, and so yeah, it's one of those things that's funny. It's like I actually had a coach. We've been doing a lot of coaching with anything and everything, and we're talking about like how to talk to brands for our social media business here, folks. It is a business, but we talk to brands like, that want to, for any of our friends, LMM, Forward Coaching, JohnPajek.com, Lattice Diamond Blades, Leanscaper. I'll just say Ballard Products, just throw them in there again. But it's like, we're like, how do we talk to these guys? And we paid $1,000 for an hour of coaching with this guy. And you know what he told me? Everything I already freaking knew. But I'm just stupid to put it into practice. He's like, well, I mean, you've got to define what their needs are, what their goals are, what their budget is. And it's like, well, God, that's what I do with all my design build clients already. Duh. Like, how stupid am I? Right. And so again, it was all just, the timing, it's funny what pieces fall into place that make something like the aha moment. And that's just the weird thing for me lately, because a lot of things have been clicking lately, and I can't imagine how much more I've got to learn. It's going to be more than I think. Okay. Something I do want to
also,
go ahead.
just to say, it's also how do you apply it? Because I'm sure we both know people. I know people that are a lot smarter than me, tons of people that are smarter than me. And especially when it comes to like, they've read every book in the country. They've read every business book. They've read every leadership book, yet they're not very successful and they're not very good leaders. And so sometimes I go like, man, stop reading books and actually try to apply, apply 3 or 5 of these principles in your day-to-day business or your life. And so sometimes I get a little bit like, it's like, well, I'm reading this other book. I'm like, yeah, but dude, and I don't mean to be a dick, but like, you're still not very good at running your business. Like, they're always looking for something in some outside book, some outside mentor, some outside coach to help them get to the next level, when if they just stopped and applied most of the things they already know, to your point, in their day-to-day business, and focus on what was really going on, talk to their people, listen to their people, take action, I think you would see much better results. Because I just applied things like really, really well. And I just listened to people around me. I didn't read a ton of books. I just watched people's body language. I watched what worked. I watched what didn't work. I learned how to manage people. That some people you needed to talk to in one way, some people a different way. And so I just think that at some point, though, you do have to apply it. But I also think you can sometimes get in a weird rut of just consuming all kinds of information. I know people that go to every single landscape and lawn care seminar and trade show and schooling and this and that. And I'm like, dude, but why are you still only doing $150,000 a year? You've been there for 10, you've been that size for 4 years. Like, dude, like, stop going to conferences and start going to work. Let's go. I mean, like, and so that sounds a little bit harsh, but sometimes I'm like, dude, get off of, I've listened to every podcast 1,000 times. Like, well, you're still doing 100 grand in revenue. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. Like, you can do $500,000 on accident. Like, what's holding you back? And so I don't know if that makes any sense, but I do think you just have to apply it. And I think at some point you can almost overconsume information.
Yeah, I know I am guilty of that too. And then you get into the analysis paralysis end of things. Like, well, if I do this, that might screw up. And sometimes some of the people who've done the biggest, boldest things are people are like, they kind of ready, fire, aim kind of folks, right? And
me.
Yeah, well, I know a handful of folks like that, and they've done huge things. And then I'm over here like, well, the windage isn't right, and we're shooting uphill, and oh my, there's a blade of grass in the way. Better not fire yet. So I'm that guy where I'm going to overanalyze, and I think I've gotten a lot better about it over the years. And then I know other folks to a detriment where they just run headlong into some stuff, and they get themselves into some stuff they should not be involved in too. So it's like that knife cuts both ways, I reckon. Let me ask you a philosophical question here from lunch. It's about sales. And we had lunch today with actually Ken Deemer and Brian Fullerton after an event in Columbus. We were all at it today, and so those two guys ordered chicken wings, and they were going to split them. And our waiter, Brian's or whoever's like, "Hey, can we get chicken wings?" He said, "How many would you like? 5, 10, or 15?" And they selected whatever and move on. And so here's my philosophical question. What is it ethical if and all 3 options are still on the menu, but is it ethical if the sales guy or the waiter, I'm sorry, would have said, would you like 10 or 15 wings?
I don't know. It feels like a trick question.
No, it's strictly like, is it wrong that he didn't offer the cheapest and the smallest option, even though it's on the menu? And there's and I had a great conversation with Ken and Brian about this. And there's a few caveats and context to this that you could obviously derive.
Well, the higher the ticket, the higher the ticket. If he does a good job, technically his tip would be more money, right? So he wants to. And again, if a grown man's ordering 5 wings and he knows that 5 wings is not enough, maybe you don't offer them, right? You just say you want 10 or you want 15, because 5, you're going to be disappointed. If you get 5, you're going to go, shit, who's got fries left over? So I don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't know if it's morally wrong. I think his job as the waiter is to also kind of read the room and offer what he thinks is best for the consumer, right? The customer.
And that ultimately was the consensus of the conversation. But I just thought it was a fun thought experiment of like, if he's acting as a guide, which is in sales what we're theoretically and ideally supposed to be acting as a guide for our clients, and we assume like, well, it's 2 guys going to split wings. 5 is not going to make sense, right? It's going to be kind of weird to see them all on the on number 2.5 together.
Right.
like Lady and the Tramp and the spaghetti scene, maybe kind of deal there. But which Brian might not be opposed to, I don't know. But
Yeah, he'd be good.
but so I just thought it was interesting. And then Pat or Ken's point, why am I saying Pat? Pat is Ken's business partner, but whatever. But Ken's point was, well, if he's doing it strictly out of only self-desire to sell more and not acting as a guide or a coach, then it would become unethical at that point. And then he has some soul searching to do. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. And so I don't know. I'm gonna probably thought experiment that with everybody from here on. Anyways, stuff you can find from Kid Contractor Podcast. Go ahead.
Well, kid. But I do think though, as contractors, though, we have to guide the clients. And this is something we fought for quite a while back when we were doing a lot of residential landscape. And maybe you run into this in your business, but Mrs. Smith wants to do this or plant this tree here. And I remember going out to job sites. I'm like, why do we put that tree right there? Well, that's what she wanted. I'm like, that's going to die. That's a low. Well, that's what she wanted. I'm like, I don't care what she wanted. Like that, that tree's not going to live there. There's not enough sun. It's right next to the house, or it's in a low area. It's a swamp. Like, why didn't we put a river birch down there? Well, that's what she wanted. And I'm like, I don't give a shit what she wanted. Like in a weird way, not in that.
Yeah, right.
I would be like, we are the professionals. So we have to say, Mrs. Smith, I understand what you want here, but I think we can get the same look, but we're going to have to use a different variety of shrub or tree, or, hey, by the way, in 4 years, this is going to be grown into your house. So we need to move this bed out a little bit further. And so we had a struggle for a while where we were letting the customer tell us what they wanted. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of weak designers on the residential side, and we would go to these, and I'd be like, what are we putting those in there for? So that's what she wanted. I'm like, that looks horrible. Like, well, that's what she wanted. She saw that, and that's what she had at her old house. And I'm like, I don't, like, we're not putting in barberries, man. We're not putting in crimson barberries. We don't put spirea in anymore. They put those in the 80s. I don't care that she had those at her old house. Like, that's not who we are. It reflects our brand. So what we do is we try to, educate the customer and say, listen, Mr. Smith, I know what you had there, but really aesthetically to make your home look beautiful, this is what I really think you're going to do and what you want to do. And here's what we want to do. And this is what it's going to look like. And so, and then most of the time they're like, well, yeah, that's why. And if that's not, we say, hey, maybe we're not the contractor for you because, and I'm sure you run into this with people where they want to put things in the backyard, and you're like, that's just not going to work there. It's a low spot. It's a drainage spot. It's whatever. And, you're doing a lot of hardscapes, but, like, I don't really want to put a retaining wall there. I know, but this isn't going to work without it. Like, you got an issue here. And so I don't know if that doesn't, if that relates to the waiter selling wings, but.
Well, it does. Yeah. It's and again, I'm that guy reading voraciously here, reading all sorts of books and all this stuff. But that's the hero guide villain thing, right? So in the sales process, we are the guide. We're going to make the client the hero, and the villain is whatever the problem is, right? And so our job as good salespeople and consultants is to guide and coach them through the situation, like Yoda did to Luke or whatever. And it's kind of an archetype of story and all that stuff. There's like a million, I say loose ends, but there's like a ton of things from the last podcast. I could go forever on this. I want to try to follow up on here as best I could. And one of the things we had talked on, and anything else you want to touch on too. And thanks, by the way, for bringing the show from the very first part back around, because I was starting to get away from that. So thank you, Kory. I heard this over the weekend. We were at the Marty Grunder Grow event in Columbus, Ohio, and toured Hidden Creek facility. They're doing $25 million in revenue in design build and a quarter of its maintenance, I think. And they want to go to $40 million. Like, it's crazy. And their facility is incredible. It's amazing. Jason Cromley, thanks for that. And he was super open with some things this morning. It was really inspiring and helps. One of the things, and Brian asked a question this morning, was talking about, dealing with clients that run billion-dollar corporations and things like that. I mean, people that will not take no for an answer kind of thing. And he's like, how do you build yourself up, gird your loins, if you will, to not be essentially pushed around by folks like that they know they, and he's like, it's not all like that. There's a lot of good folks at that level. And then there's other folks like, that's how they get there, is they know what they want and they're going to do it. But he's like, how do you guard against, being steamrolled all the time in those scenarios? And he's like, oh, I get steamrolled all the time. He's like, I'm working on it. And it was like, dude, you run a $25 million operation. Like, that was so cool to hear, because I feel like steamrolled by a client last year, and I still feel like a schmuck for it. You know what I mean? And I just thought that was such a cool amount of openness from him. I just respect the heck out of that. I'm curious if you have thoughts on that too, of clients that, or people in life in general, and how to stand, be better about standing your ground and knowing what you stand for, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I certainly have changed over the years, and business has changed over the years. And I mean, as far as clients steamrolling us, of course, we've bent over backwards. We've lowered prices out of fear. And, if we lose, this big customer, oh my God, how's it going to look? And so, yeah, certainly big clients have put pressure on us at times where they've came in and said, hey, you're going to lose this hospital. We have a budget cut and we really need you guys to take a 10%, reduction. We'd love to keep you on, but everyone here's taking a deduction and we'd love to keep you. And we're like, okay, we get pressure and steamrolled in that way. We look at it as, okay, are we building a long-term partnership? If we can go to them and say, you know what, we really respect your business. You've been with us a long time. We're willing to we're willing to also sacrifice with you if you need to make some budget cuts. What we would typically do, though, instead of just saying yes, we'll do it for less, is, hey, let's go ahead and look at your overall scope of work and package and see if there's a few things that we maybe can not do this year. Maybe we don't bed edge. Maybe we just top dress the mulch with an inch and a half instead of cutting, edges, and maybe a 2.5 to 3 inch top dress. Maybe, so we try to find ways to creatively. And this happens as well, where clients that came to us after big winters where we have a lot of snow and they say, hey, we're way over budget. We're going to have to probably go to bid. And we'd say, hey, let's not go to bid.
Whoa.
How do we help you? How do we help you save some money? You know what? Every single year we've done X, Y, and Z. I think this year would be a perfectly good year to skip a remulch, right? It's a $25,000 remulch on a commercial property or whatever. It'd be a perfectly good year. You know what? Maybe let's skip that fall aeration and overseed. The turf is really strong right now. Whatever it may be. And so we've certainly tried to be a partner and a solution-based company. And in life, we just, I have, I can tell you the last couple of years, I've really, really been good at boundaries. And I don't know what exactly led to that, other than I've changed some priorities, and I don't do anything that I don't want to do anymore, which is kind of screwed up. But I have opportunities to speak at events and do things. And first off, I'm not a great speaker. Second off, I don't really want to do it. And I felt like for a while, like, oh, I really have to. And then I thought, well, I don't have to actually at all. And so personally, for me, I've really tried to look at what's best for my family first, and business second. And for many, many years, Caleb, I put business ahead of family. For most of my adult life, business was first. As long as the business was good, everything else would work out. And when I changed that dynamic, and put my family first, I'm happier, my family's happier, my life's better. And ultimately, what's kind of weird is my business is better. So, shocker, right?
Well, I don't know. I was actually going to probe on that a little bit if I dare. This is a little bold, but fortune favors the bold. A lot of guys I talk to, and especially at your stage of business where they really have hit a lot of success and things are awesome, they say exactly that. I put the business first forever. What do you think life, Ballard, Green Grind, et cetera, would look like if, but you kind of already covered it there. So this is an interesting thing. You said actually my business got better when I actually put my family first. So that kind of blows up my question, but I was going to ask, what would life look like if you had done, family first and not going back too far,
Yeah, well, but you know what? I'm wrong, actually, because I wouldn't be in the position I am had I not for so many years been so selfish in the business. So your question is exactly on, because I didn't put family first until I had already reached all this, like doing air quotes for the people listening, success, right? Financially. So it's easy for me to say that now, right? And I agree. I'm friends with a lot of people on Facebook that have lawn care companies, and I don't know most of them, probably like you don't. I accept their friendship if I see that they're friends with Brian or they're in lawn care, and so. But man, I see a lot of different things, and I always want to comment, but I don't know that it'll even change anything or matter. But like, you have to. I mean, I did for 20 years, man, I just freaking grind. I was grinding. I mean, it was just, I mean, I got a divorce, I had an unhealthy, relationship with alcohol. But I just freaking worked, more business, more customers, more trucks, more customers, more trucks, hire him, hire Joe, hire Nancy. It just like, and I mean, I remember my ex-wife, and I don't know if I've ever said this on your podcast, but like we were going through some tough times in 2010 when people weren't paying us. And she's like, Kory, you and I will get through it. And I'm like, I literally did. I remember saying that. And I thought to myself, I don't need your help. I got to fix the business. Like she's like, we'll be fine. If we got to sell a house, we can sell the house. We'll be okay. Like we have this big fancy house. And she's like, I don't care about any of this stuff. Like as long as we're together, we had a daughter. Like she's like, we'll be okay. And I'm like, I remember thinking, you're fucking crazy. We won't be okay. Nothing's okay. Like I have to fix this business. I have to pull up. I got to pull us out of this mess. And so just such a hard thing to answer because for so many years, I had to just be like laser focused to get to where we got. And then it's easy to go, well, like now I can switch my priorities because I sold the company, right? And I have time and I'm not wondering where my next meal's coming from or if I can make payroll Friday or if shit hits the fan, am I going to be okay? I'm going to be okay now. So I can change my priorities. So it is a weird balance and I don't know how to exactly answer it because, man, I don't think you could build a company working 40 hours a week and taking off at 3 o'clock to go to grab your kids from school and go to soccer practice every day. I don't think you can build a 10, 20, $30 million company doing that. If that was your goal, I don't know, maybe it's 2 million, whatever the number is. I don't know anybody that's that successful that did it part-time or put in 40-hour work week. Everybody I know that's built something really big and special had a period of some 5 years, some 10, some 20 of absolute just, Elon Musk sleeping in the factory on a cot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes any sense.
Kory, it was great, and thank you for sharing it. Yeah, and that's just, and Britt and I talk about that all the time, and I think I've even said this on the last podcast, but we want to add $1 million in revenue a year for the next 5 years. And again, all our business heroes are divorced, and it's just like, are we sure? Like, is that the cost? And so then my next question is, quo pretio, my favorite Latin phrase now, at what cost is what that means. What advice do you have for guys that do want to try to scale like crazy? I mean, what is there? Is there like, how do you keep it together for family's sake? Or what advice do you have and still grind like crazy? I don't know, man. What's that look like?
I mean, I think first and foremost for a married guy or gal that's running a company, because there's certainly some really great female ran companies, but let's just say for right now, for the sake of argument, it's a guy. And I think first and foremost is your spouse on board? All right, babe, we're going to grow by $1 million a year for the next 5 years. Here's what I think that looks like. Here's what I think my commitment looks like. Are we in this together? Are we on board? And why? I think the question goes back to, but I hope somebody asks you, either your spouse or then I'm going to go next, is your team on board and do you have the right people? But I always go back to why. I had lunch with a guy and he said, I think he's at 7 million. He's like, I just want to get to 10. And I had lunch with him maybe 2 months ago and he got a nice landscape company. And he's like, I just want to get to 10. And I'm like, why? He's like, it'd be so much cooler to tell people I run a $10 million company. And I'm like, dude, so this guy's got a great company. Big house, lake house. He goes home in the afternoon, swims with his kids. His wife doesn't work. Built a really nice, profitable company. His name's Jason. If he listens to this, I'm calling him out. But he goes, you know how cool it'd be to tell people that you have a $10 million company? And I said, you know how cool it is for you to tell me that you get to go home and swim with your kids in the summer? And you go to the lake every Friday morning, you take your kids to the lake. I go, that's fucking cool. I go, that's so much cooler than 10 million. He's like, no way. And I'm like, no, yes way. Like, so, back to the, is your spouse on board? What is the why? And what does that commitment look like? It doesn't necessarily mean, Caleb, for you and Brittany, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be there 15 hours a week more. There's not an actual measuring stick that says to get $1 million more in revenue, I have to work 15% more or 15% harder. There's not that. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But I do think it could mean, hey, there may be a few times that if we had a crew that I might miss soccer, or I might not be able to be at Little League or whatever. I might miss a kid's event. Are we in this together? And what does that look like? And then again, does your team know, hey guys, we're going to grow $1 million a year, and this is what it looks like for all of you, especially your A players? Because sometimes people don't even they have goals. Their company don't even the people that work for them don't even know that there's a goal. Like everybody here at Ballard knows our goal for this year. They know exactly what the top line and bottom line goal is. Well, not my warehouse people, but everybody in our team, right, in our strategy team. Like it's not a secret. I don't just say we're going to grow this year. We have an exact target number. And then we have a marketing directive to how we're going to get there. And then we have a bottom line that we have to do this top line. We got to do this bottom line. But long answer to that, I don't know. But and then it's interesting you say that because I said this I think on the last podcast too, Caleb. Like some of the freaking most successful air quotes people I know are divorced and miserable. Yeah. One of my buddy just called me yesterday and told me his wife asked him to move out of the big house. He's got tons of money, makes me look poor, and he's moving out. They might be getting divorced, and he don't listen to this podcast, so I don't care. And I'm like, dude, and it's like, man, he's 38, 37. He got kids. I'm like, dude, like you got so much, but miserable, right? And so much stress. And so I don't know what the perfect answer is. Some people are never going to be happy, whether they have a $1 million company, a 10 or a 20, none of that will ever change anything. But I don't think you got to get divorced to be successful. I don't think you have to work more hours necessarily to grow. I think now you can do it with so many other methods that maybe allow you to scale smarter without necessarily like, hey, dude, I got to work an extra 20 hours a week.
Yeah. And this quote comes to mind as soon as you're talking about it earlier. AJ Brensel and Alicia Brensel are dear friends out in Pittsburgh, PA. They are running like a $14 million civil excavating and heavy construction company. And they actually mentioned this at Together in the Trades in their presentation. And AJ worked, I don't know, I can't, it was some obnoxious number, 45, 60, 90 days straight without seeing his kids, seeing his wife, seeing his family. And they own the business together. She's an active owner and all that stuff. And at Together in the Trades, he said, nobody brags. Everybody brags about how much they work. Nobody brags about how much time they spend with their family. And and it was to that point, like you said, of like that dude with the $7 million company. And I'll equate to this when we were at like 4,000 followers on Instagram and the thing was really growing. I'm like, man, it'd be cool to hit 10,000 followers. I think it would be cool then because I can then link. I can put story links in I can put live links in my story so I can share like construction details and all this stuff. It'll be cool. Like we'll get to 10,000. That'll be cool. And, then we're 20,000, 30,000, it's just like, it's never enough. Right. I don't think anybody would be content. I don't know. That's just always a question I ponder. So Brittany and I do go through marriage coaching with Brad and Tammy Miller, Tandem Marriage there. It's super helpful to us once a month. We just have a check-in and it keeps everybody accountable and keeps on track. It's really good for us. And I think that's, if I'm going to offer any advice, I think it's some outside good qualified people that are good people with your best interest in mind. Maybe somebody to talk to, maybe even Tandem Marriage there.
Real quick on that, I'll just throw this other too. Lindsay and I do counseling once a month too, and we have forever. Awesome. And people go, "Oh, things aren't going good." And I go, "No, they're amazing." Yeah. I go, because people that know us, like they're like, "I've never seen two people get along so good." And I'm like, "Oh, I mean, we barely argue, but occasionally shit gets a little weird, right?" And I'm a dick, but like. We've been doing it forever, and people, anytime I'm like, well, we got our marriage counseling, like, ooh, like, and I'm like my husband and I don't go, and I'm like, yeah, but you guys hate each other, like we are so good, and it's a safe place, and people think it's a sign of weakness, and I share it all the time with people, and they're like, they're blown away, like. We go once a month. We talk about the kids and the kids' schedule and how we're maneuvering and managing, and if there's anything that we need to say in a safe spot, or hey, what you said last year or week, or not last year, what you did last week really kind of hurt my feelings. I didn't know how to react, and for her, sometimes she's like, you're just a lot to handle. I'm like, no shit. Like, and so it's a really, I mean, it's such a good thing to do. I don't know why people don't do it more. They think that you go to, like, they wait to go to counseling until they're about to get divorced.
Yeah.
I don't want to get divorced, buddy. I just want to have a great relationship with my wife, an open relationship where we can talk about things. And if we get, and we've been doing it for, I don't know, 8 years. Like, I was originally like, we'll go once a month for like 6 months. And we just never quit. We've never quit. And she says, my gal is kind of, she goes, my work's done here. You don't need me. And I go, see you next month.
Yeah.
First Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. And she's like, forever? I go, maybe forever.
Yeah. And I bet
like,
Lindsay loves it too. I bet it gives her, I mean, I know with Brittany, and I commit and agree to do it. I know Brittany loves that I am willing to commit to it and do it. It means a lot to her.
For sure.
And so it's definitely good for her. So
do you ever write something down like, I'm gonna tell, like, I write stuff down every once in a while. I'll send myself a message when she'll do something. I'm like, and her name's Dr. Tracy. I go, I'm telling Tracy.
Brittany did that to me yesterday. She did it to me yesterday. She's like, I can't wait till Brad and Tammy about this. I'm like, oh, geez, I'm dead.
I do that. We fuck with each other sometimes. I'm like, all right. I'm like putting it on the list.
Yep, that's exactly how it goes. It's so fun. And that's it. That's exactly it, man. You get a third party arbiter. It's the greatest thing. And it's not a divorce court. It's the greatest thing ever. So
yeah, it is. It works really well, but it's like business coaching, life coaching, mentors, marriage coaching. Man, people that are happy and successful are utilizing all the things that the resources around them. And it's so shocking to me that when I see people that are sad or just always depressed, and and it's this victim mentality that I just can't understand. And I understand some of it could be mental illness or just depression, but man, it doesn't have to be that way. And there's so many things that, I mean, I don't know, life's pretty short, man. I turned 50 in May, which is bonkers to me, but I just want to be happy, and I'm going to utilize every resource around me that I can. And that's just how I do it.
Gosh, Kory, that is fantastic. We're at an hour. I had one more question I wanted to ask you. I don't know if you're at a hard stop or not. Are you?
No, I'm good, buddy. I'm good.
Dude, my last question, and that was such a good end. If I was a good podcaster, I'd end it there. But I really would love to know your thoughts on this. If you've grown through people and all that, and grown people and all that. So many business I talk to, I hear people say, like, your team members, because people are what grow the company, right? Your people are what grow your company. And then, like, we had so-and-so and they were great, for us at that stage, but we outgrew them and they didn't grow with us. And I think more so that skill set and like their mindset and all that kind of stuff. And as we're looking at growing, essentially having 3 people a year for indefinitely or more, whatever, depending on workload and whatever the Lord wills, of course. What's your thoughts on they were great for us at the time, but they aren't the same. They wouldn't have been great for us now. So, like, cultivating people, is it possible to keep everybody on the bus? You're always going to lose somebody. You're always going to churn through people just through as you grow as a leader, all that kind of stuff. Curious your thoughts on that. We'll end the show.
For sure you will outgrow people, and it's unfortunate and it's sad. The first person I hired, her name was Chris Harding. The first person I hired, we had maybe 4 or 5 employees to do my books, and I started her at like $9 an hour. And she was with me for like 23 or 24 years. And we outgrew her, right? She was just a control freak, and she loved Perpicut, and she loved me, and we were close as can be. I know her family, she knows my family, and but as our business continued to grow and she had all these people around her, she no longer, it wasn't comfortable for her. And she would come in my office and cry and like, I hate it here now, Kory. I hate it. I hate the where the company's gone. And I'm like, yeah, but like, we're paying you, almost a 6-figure salary now. And she's like, I don't care about any of that. Like, all the things that she loved about it changed. And this happened with a lot of people in our stages of growth. And I don't think growing at 3 people a year will do that to you, but it will eventually, if you get to your goal of 5 or 6 million or whatever that number is, some of the guys that were with you maybe from the very beginning, things do start to change. Accountability changes, and the dynamic just changes. And so we had people that were with us 10, 12, 15, 20 years ultimately leave, and they were like, this isn't the Perpicut it used to be. And I'm like, well, of course not. We don't drink beer after work anymore. Like, no, we don't do that anymore. Like, you're right. We don't, back in the day, I mean, I would literally throw out a $50 bill almost every Friday, $100 bill, and Bill would run up to Casey's and general store, and he'd get as many cases of Busch Light as he could get. He'd bring it back, and everybody drink beer in the parking lot, and it was fun, and it worked, and we built this really cool company. But then it was like one day I'm like, okay, a guy actually left, got an OWI, then another employee got killed. Left. We had been drinking at work, and then he went to another bar. He went under a bridge, got hit a semi, killed him, and I'm like, we can't serve beer at our business. Like, this is bonkers. And so the dynamic started to change. And so, unfortunately, you will outgrow people. And where I've made probably the biggest mistake is putting people in the wrong seat based on tenure and not skill. And then it really gets tough. So I can think of one really good example. A guy that ran, he was the best lawn tech we had. Ran a mowing crew forever. He was a best lawn tech. So he's probably with me 12 or 13 years at that point. And the guy that ran our lawn app division had left. I think we let him go. And so the next person up, which was Adam, he's been with us 13 years. He should be the leader. He should be the manager. Terrible with people, not a good leader, incredibly hard worker, knowledgeable in the field, loved being on his own, great tech. But this new role came with a raise and a company truck, and we asked him if he wanted it. He said, of course, because why wouldn't you? We put him in this new role. He's terrible at it, right? It's not even in his skill set. And then it's so hard to go back to him and say, oh, we're going to put you back in the field. I need the company truck back. And it no longer pays 65. It doesn't pay 65 grand. It pays 48. And so we've lost people that way too, by putting people in the wrong seat on our bus, right? And based on, again, tenure, or we felt like we owed it to them. And so that certainly was something that was hard. And I was in people's weddings that I had to fire, Caleb. I mean, I know their kids, I've been in their weddings, I've been to birthday parties, and I'm sure at your size, this probably happens in your business today, and probably guys listening to this. And then when you have to fire somebody that you've been in their wedding, I mean, it's tough stuff. And probably one of the best things that happened to us is I had a CFO I hired. She was the CFO of the Nashville airport. And then we convinced her to come work and be our CFO. And she was a ball buster. I loved it, but exactly what we needed. But we had a Christmas party, and everyone got drunk, and we had we rented out this whole restaurant and bar, and it was a shit show. Had a DJ, and she came in the next Monday, and she's like, first off, I'm not working here. If this is how this is not a professional organization. She's like, Christ, you and Matt were the drunkest two there. I'm like, I don't think so. And she's like, you have to separate this. She's like, this is nonsense. This is crazy. You're not their friend. You have to separate this. And I had a couple guys along the way tell me the same thing. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. We got some magic going on. Everybody loves it, man. These guys would die. They bleed blue. They'd die for me. They love it here. And they would. But boy, it certainly blurred the lines along the way. And so, not really back. I mean, I'm kind of screwed up your whole topic here, but things do change. You do outgrow people. But I think, had we communicated better, had we put people in the right seats, I think we could have avoided some of that. But we had rapid growth, and the company just changed so much. And I think when we really had the biggest turnovers, when we really put a lot of accountability in place, and people are like, well, I never used to have to do that. I'm like, I know, but now we have rules, and we have different rules than what we had, and uniform policies, and everybody's buckled up, and there's no smoking on the job site. There's no smoking in the truck. There's no smoking in our parking lot. Like, you can't smoke in the parking lot. Like, no, man, we just don't do that anymore here. Like, we have a designated smoking area, and that's where you go. We don't drink beer there's no alcohol out on our premises anymore. And so as we started adding rules, some people left, and it was unfortunate, but it was for the greater good of the entire organization. And so sometimes you've got to have some short-term pain for that long-term gain, and it just is what it is.
Man. Well, accountability is maybe the topic for the show. When I tell D to reschedule with you in 6 months, if you decline or accept, I would understand either way. But we will put a timeline on it with D. Kory, tell everybody where to find you and go check us out. And by the way, I think you're a great public speaker. I would specifically go out of my way to see you speak anywhere. I loved every time I saw you at Brian's event. I think you did somewhere else. Like you did GIE or something. I swear I saw you somewhere else. And I was like, this guy's incredible. But yeah, so I think you should keep that up. And okay, where can folks find you? And we'll get out of here.
Yeah. So if you want to check out the company that we built, which is Perfect Cut, I think that we have an amazing website. I say we, but I've since sold that company, but still an amazing website. So it's Perfect Cut, which is PERFICUT.com. And then Ballard is ballard-inc.com. And we also have the Green Grind podcast where we drop an episode every Tuesday. If you guys want to listen to Leroy and I, we have a new guest on every week. Mostly small companies. We have some big guys coming up as well. Some pretty cool guests slated for March and April, and try to really dig into what's making people's businesses successful and their marketing and their just their hiring and all the same things that all of us are struggling with day to day. So easy to find us: Instagram, Facebook, all the bullshit, YouTube,
Kory, I love
all the
it,
same
man.
stuff.
You're awesome. Again, my gratitude so much for your time. Super great. Thank you, sir. And thank you for being open. It means the world. It helps people that listen. I know it for certain, without a doubt. So, man, thank you so much. Have a great day. And folks, from the Company Cam Studios here in spring-like beautiful Fairfield County, Ohio weather, we turned our first week of revenue here, full week. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. We will catch you folks on the next one. Be sure to go check out Ballard and buy some mower blades and whatever else they got going there. We'll catch you on the next one, folks. We'll see you.